Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure where all of you all are situated, but down here in Texas in the past 4 days, it's gotten freaking cold. So now you see me with a jacket. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about rules. So, when you're in, let's say you're in a job that you hate, or or you know what your purpose is and you're really psyched to go do it. When you decide to actually go do that, there's this subconscious set of rules. And maybe it's conscious, maybe it's not, but all human beings, we operate by this like rule book. And those of us who are aware of it can actually start rewriting it. And those of us who aren't aware of it just kind of plod along and we don't really understand why we make the decisions we make. Right. So it's really important to be aware of your rule book, because if you're aware of your rule book, you can change your actions, you can rewrite the rules, and then ultimately you can rewrite the whole course of where you're going. So today I kind of wanted to go over that rule book as it applies to careers and some of the things that I've seen, some of the things that work, some of the things that don't work, some of the things where we think that we're operating by one set of rules, but we're really not, we're really doing something else, and kind of pull down the curtain on that, peek into the subconscious mind so that you all can see what's going on and so that you guys can take control and live the life that you want to live, right? So basic question, what will it take for you to leave a toxic situation? Or what will it take for you to jump into something where you're really excited and really enthusiastic? Right? It's a big decision. Career changes, big decisions. How would you make the decision that now is the time? So there are a lot of people who say that they want to do something, but they actually don't have any triggers, any conditions, any rules for when that's going to happen or how that's going to happen. And so the result is that they never actually make the change. They sit there, they look at it, they dream about it, they hope that, hey, man, it would be cool one day if, but because they don't have any rule in their mind that, hey, listen, now's the time, right? Because they're, normally in this case, it's because they're paralyzed by fear. They can't actually bring themselves to make the change, right? The idea of saying, oh, now's the time is too scary, because they never have that, they never go do it. Right? And they stay stuck in the status quo forever, right? Now, that's obviously not a good strategy, right? We can call that the guaranteed suffering strategy, because you're guaranteed to suffer because there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And there's no way that you can bridge that gap under your rule set, okay? So now let's take a look at there's a whole group of rules. And the thing we've got to be careful as we, differentiate on these, right, is that in some cases they're real and in some cases they're not. So we may tell ourselves, hey, listen, this is what it's going to take. This is the condition. But in reality, that's not the case, right? In reality, there's something else going on. So our conscious and our subconscious can be different, right? And so that's something that we want to take a look at and kind of see, hey, listen, what's going on with the conscious? What may be going on in the subconscious? Okay, so one of the rules is that people say is, oh, well, when I get fed up enough, then I'll quit. And the problem with that is that, it may or may not have anything specific. So if there's no specific, condition for what constitutes fed up enough, then you're basically back to the guaranteed suffering strategy. Now, if you do have a specific condition, if you say, hey, listen, if I don't get that next promotion, or if I don't get a raise of X%, or if I don't get my hours down to, 50 hours a week or anything like that, and you've got a specific condition, then you've got a rule. You've got a rule where there's a possible win coming. If you don't have something specific, then it's just, it's just a mask, right? Now, the second one we might want to look at, right, is, well, when a certain time happens, there's all these other things and there's all this other stuff. And then when this, I'm going to do it in January, I'm going to do it in February, right? You say, that there's a certain time that you're going to change. Now, what I've seen is that sometimes that's real. And sometimes that time comes and nothing happens. And they say, oh, well, now it's going to be another time. So the way that you can see what's going on, if you have a time rule, is if it's been completed, did you actually do what you thought you were going to do? And if not, then, your conscious may say it's a time thing, but your subconscious is back in that guaranteed suffering strategy because, it can always find an excuse to kick the can down the road, right? So set a time, in the reasonably near future and see what happens. Do you do it? Do you not? because that will make it very clear whether that rule is real or not, right? The third one that I hear people say is, oh, well, when I have enough money saved up, then I'll go and I'll make the change and I'll go chase my dream, right? Now, the thing with this, though, is you got to be very careful, because if you look at your current budget, are you actually accumulating money to the point where you're going to be able to do that, right? So if you are, and you say, okay, listen, I'm accumulating, $5,000 a month. I want to have $50,000 before I go and I pursue this project, right? In 10 months, I'll be there. Then basically you're back in, in the time thing, and then you can say, oh, this is real. However, what I've found is that a lot of people who have the money, rule in their head do one of two things. Either one is they're not accumulating any money at all, and they're just hoping that one day magically the money's just going to appear and then they can bail. And that doesn't work, right? Money doesn't just pop up into your bank account. And the second thing that I've seen is that people they have kind of like a money thermostat, right? And like they always stay at a fixed point. And then if they do start saving and they do start climbing up, then suddenly there will be all these unexpected expenses, or they'll go spend on something, or they'll start sabotaging themselves or whatever, and they'll stay locked at that one specific position. So very few people accumulate money beyond their kind of set point. So there's kind of like a point where they won't go above and they won't go below, and that's kind of where they are. And so if you're in that position, right, and you say, oh, well, when I save up X amount and then every month you're undershooting your savings goal, well, then, you've got a problem, because then you're never going to hit that condition, right? And then you just cycle back to guaranteed suffering. And then finally, the fourth rule, where it could be conscious and unconscious diverge, right? The fourth rule is, oh, well, when I have a plan, when I know what I'm going to do, that's the time that I'm going to make a change. But the plan has to be convenient and easy and no risk and no cost and all this other stuff, right? So I absolutely support putting together a plan. I mean, like, I help people put together plans. Like, that's one of the things that I do. However, every plan is going to entail some level of risk. You can't quit your job without some level of risk. You can't make a big career change without some level of risk. And it's never going to be 100% convenient, 100% perfect, 100% risk-free, cost-free, all that kind of stuff. Because if it was, you would have already done it by now. So, I mean, I've talked to people like, oh, well, if I just had a way to do this and this and this and this, and I go, okay, great. Well, let's look at this. Well, yeah, but then the this and the yeah, but, right? And there's always a reason why any given plan won't work. And so if you've looked at, 10 or 12 different things, and you found a reason for 10 or 12 different things that they're not going to work, then chances are you're not really at your core trying to put together a plan. Really, your rule set is the guaranteed suffering, and you're telling yourself at the conscious level that it's something different. You're telling yourself at the conscious level that you just need a plan. But if none of the plans are acceptable, then, it's really not about the plan at all. So the first rule set was the guaranteed suffering. Then we had 4 rule sets where it could be either way. It could be real. It could be an excuse, right? Now there's a last rule set, and this is what I call defiant commitment. So defiant commitment is, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. I know my purpose, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. So like, I was in that position when it came to starting the Oculus Institute, and I had to make some huge investments in order to learn how to get Oculus off the ground. And I did, because it was whatever it takes, right? It's like a soldier in the trenches, whatever it takes, right? It's, if you're in a job and it sucks, then it's like, hey, listen, I'm either going to go quit tomorrow, or I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself to where I need to be as quickly as possible so that I can do that, right? So let's say, if you really need a plan, then whatever it takes is that you're thinking about that plan, several hours a day, and you're trying to find something that works. If whatever it takes is you need some more money, then, to fund something, well, then that means that you're trying to find ways to earn extra money. You're not just like sitting there hoping it's going to appear. You're like, where can I cut in my budget? Where can I earn more money? Where can I freelance, right? If whatever it takes is time, then it's like, well, okay, how can I shorten this time? Why does it have to be so long? Is there a way that we can make it shorter, right? If, all of these things are whatever it takes, right? It's defiant commitment. And what I've found is that very, very, very few people operate from a place of defiant commitment. And when they do, they almost always, bar a crazy act of God, they almost always get what they're seeking. And is there struggle along the way? Yes. Is there risk along the way? Yes. Is it scary? Absolutely. But it's the difference between the 85% of people who don't enjoy what they're doing, who hate their job or are completely disconnected from it, and the 15% of people who do, right? Is that defiant commitment. So if I had to endorse one rule set for you of everything here, it's that. Defiant commitment, whatever it takes, because that's what's going to get you the outcome. And that's what's going to get you the outcome in, months or maybe a year instead of, 10 or 20 years, right? So guys, that's all about rule sets today. I'm going to kind of follow up on this topic a little bit more with why people end up choosing the rule sets that lead to pain, because nobody wants to suffer. So my next talk, I'm going to talk about kind of what's the psychology behind why people set up impossible rules, because obviously, understanding that is going to help you rewrite those rule sets. But right now, that's just a high level overview. And if you guys are in that place of defiant commitment, one second, let me type this in here. If you guys are in this place of defiant commitment and you are trying to put together a plan and you're doing your damnedest, you're thinking about it every day, but you're struggling, right? Then I am the person to talk to. You go to www.oculusinstitute.com/scheduling. I do this professionally. I'm one of the best in the world when it comes to making these kinds of plans. And I am more than happy to talk to you about the next steps. And, we can see what happens from there. So guys, thank you very much. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. And I will see you in a couple of days to keep on going on this, on a similar kind of topic. Not exactly the same topic, but similar topic. So farewell and have a good one. Bye.